Check, test, 1, 2. Did everything come back? Check, test. Hello, hello.
Check, test.
Okay, there we go. All right, well, that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake. Hi, Linda, Food Porn Chef. Sorry, guys, I actually dropped the stream right in the middle of it. Thanks, Judy. Hi, Judy. Tim's back. Good. Okay, I'm gonna run and get some. I spilled my tea trying to get this working. I'll be right back. Yeah, good one. All right, sorry about that. Just a second here. So that doesn't get tracked everywhere. Well, I guess I learned a lesson there. I knew better to do that, but anyway. Chubby Butler, hi, and Two Feathers, peace. Tim's back in, good. We'll hang here for just a minute and see if everybody sticks with this. And or gives up. If it would have been me, I'd have probably given up. But, you know, well, let's see. You know what? The camera changed too, didn't it? Oh, wow. I really blew things up tonight. Great job, TR. Yeah, well done. Okay, so anyway, hi, Randy. Great to see you in. We'll hang here for just a minute. We were going to chat about roadside assistance versus extended maintenance. So we'll hang here for just another minute and let a few more folks get reconnected. Hi, Walter Pate. So happy to see you here. Linda, so are you back from Quartzsite? Who's chubby? I don't know. Who's chubby? Cubby? Chubby? Cubby, I don't have my glasses on. Sorry about that. I'm a little chubby. I've been working on it. So yeah, that was a big mistake. For those that you're just tuning in, yeah, hit that thumbs up and not hit yourself in the head. So I was chatting about, before I was so rudely interrupted by trying to plug this in, I clearly found out that there's a huge problem with this camera and the GoPros. They don't play nice together. But this is a borescope camera, and what I was trying to tell Flamian? I can't remember the fellow's name, sorry, I'm old and now I'm discombobulated. I go back to my comment here real quick, and that way I'll be able to speak more intelligently about it. Yeah, Scott, I got disconnected. I don't know if you're still on the other, if you're on the other chat. That one died. Anyway, let's see. Sorry, I had to completely reboot to get things to come back. Okay, Flammarion. Anyway, he had lost wires, and I was talking about how I had used this borescope to track down some wires that I had lost when I replaced my roof. The clearance light wires got dropped down inside, and I couldn't find them, and I fished and fished and fished, so I ended up using this borescope and was able to go in there with the borescope. I find the wire, then I took a clothes hanger and I snuck it in there, and I finally got everything snaked back out and made it work. So that worked out pretty good. All right, well, let's chat about roadside assistance versus extended warranties, because there's a lot of confusion around that. And I get this comment occasionally, and in fact I've had this question come up, gosh, probably 20 times over the last 3 or 4 years. And it always starts out like this. I was driving down the road and I broke down. And so I called my warranty company, and they said, well, you don't have towing, you don't have roadside assistance. and when they thought they did. Well, what they had was an extended warranty. And now typically an extended warranty on your coach is going to cover the living part of the coach. In other words, if your fridge fails, your air conditioner fails, stuff like that, that's what an extended warranty is going to cover. Sometimes your extended warranty may cover your chassis. So that would cover like you blow up an engine, stuff like that. I know Ron, who was on the other chat, and I don't know if he'll make it over here or not, just recently bought 3 more years of extended warranty on his chassis because they're going to go to Alaska and they just wanted that peace of mind. And I know that they've used theirs before. They lost a radiator and ended up having to get a radiator custom made. After some back and forth with the warranty company, they were able to get it done. But you need to know what you're buying or what you have as far as your extended warranty goes. In general, when you buy an extended warranty, when you buy your RV, that's going to warrant only the equipment in your RV. The fridge, the stove, that kind of stuff, okay? Some of them even exclude the electronics. So you don't want to get in a big hurry when you're trying to make a decision about whether or not you're going to buy an extended warranty. You want to sit down and read the terms of that extended warranty agreement. Roadside Assistance covers you for breakdowns. Okay, so a flat tire, a breakdown, a mechanical breakdown, you need gas, you're locked out, those sorts of things. Your typical roadside assistance things. Now, there are a number of companies out there that offer roadside assistance for RVs. I happen to use Good Sam, and I've been very happy with them. I've been towed twice. And no out-of-pocket costs. But the thing about the roadside assistance is they're going to do everything they can before they tow you. So typically what that involves, if you have a mechanical breakdown like I did, I'll tell the story that makes me cry every time, so if I get to crying, you'll excuse me. But I was in Iowa, and I broke a valve and basically scrambled the top end of my motor in my RV. This is in 2017. And I kind of knew what had happened. Luckily, I was like 4 miles from the exit where I was going to stop for the night. Unluckily, I broke a valve and it made a mess. It took out the turbo. Well, anyway, I ended up buying a crate motor. What a crate motor is just a motor that had 3 years of warranty on it. It was a factory remanufactured by Caterpillar. I felt like that was the best deal. We looked at overhauling the engine, and it was just, why? You know, it was like 2/3 the cost to overhaul versus getting that, 3 years of warranty on the motor. But they insisted that a roadside technician, come and look at it before they would tow it. Now, this is typical. I've had this happen, twice now. But, yeah, so they wanted a technician to come out. Now, that technician came out because, if it was something simple, they could fix it. And as soon as that technician gets to your location, you're on the hook for whatever that cost. Your roadside assistance will typically pay to get the technician there, and then you pay for everything after that. So for the example I'm giving, the technician got to the RV park I was staying at. He came in, he says, well, it must be the fuel filter. He didn't have the fuel filter, so he had to call Cedar Rapids. I was north of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, about, maybe 30 miles north. And so he called Cedar Rapids. They got fuel filters. By the way, I had a fuel filter and he wouldn't use mine, which kind of got my panties in a wad. Sorry if that's crude, but I was pretty upset about that. But that's beside the point. Anyway, boopity 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 boop. We go through all of this stuff. Finally, he says, "Yeah, well, it's got to be something else." And I'm like, "No shit, Sherlock." I mean, yeah, it's something else. I knew what it was. I was afraid it was a valve, or it was something. I thought it was probably the turbo. Is what I really thought it was. But anyway, finally I got towed into Cedar Rapids, and yeah, it turned out to be a better deal to just replace the motor, and that's life, right? I mean, I was living in my RV full time. I'm not going to live at the Freightliner dealer in Cedar Rapids. All right. So that's a long way to say roadside assistance will cover you for breakdown. They'll get the technician out there, but you pay for everything once the technician gets on site. It's the same with tires, unless you have tire coverage, which is a different story. We'll talk about that in just a second. But your typical roadside assistance will get you flat tire service, but when the technician gets there, then you're paying. So whatever that technician wants to charge you to repair that tire on the side of the road, you're going to pay for out of pocket. Okay, so just expect that. Now, every plan is a little bit different. There's Good Sam, there's CoachNet, there's FMCA. There are all these other roadside assistance plans, and everybody, it's like Fords and Chevys. Everybody has their favorite. I personally, like I say, I've had good luck with Good Sam. I was glancing at the comments here. It looks like Aaron has Good Sam, and he's been towed 3 times. But the thing to keep in mind, just as an aside, when you call the roadside assistance, folks, and this is particularly true if you're going to have to be towed, pack your patience, because it takes time. First off, they have to call around and find their contractor in that area that can come out and tow you. Then you have to wait for them to come out and get you. A good example would be, I blew a hydraulic hose on I-17 just out of Camp Verde in 2018 this time. And again, I was able to limp in, and I just got off the interstate, and I got so dang lucky. There was a vacant lot right across the street from a Chevron. And so I got into that lot and got stopped and got safely off the interstate. I called roadside assistance. I told them, I says, I blew a hose. There's no need to send a technician, blah, 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 blah. Finally, they said, okay, well, we can't find a technician to come today anyway. So they were going to go ahead and tow me. But apparently there was a big wreck south of Camp Verde. All of the big tow trucks, all of the big, the big rig tow trucks were all south, working on some kind of a wreck down south of Camp Verde on 17 there. Yeah, that's 17. Anyway, the long short story was I ended up staying the night at in that lot. Then the tow truck came and got me the next morning, hauled me over to the shop, and they had a hose made in town. When it went out, it also took out the they call it the surge tank, which is a part of the coolant system. On the Freightliners, at least the year that I have, it has a plastic surge tank. It's like the overflow you would find in your car, except it's under pressure. Anyway, we're not going to get too deep into that. But for whatever reason, that thing blew. I think it's because when I lost my hydraulic hose, I lost my fan, I lost my power steering. It was a bugger to get that thing. I mean, I was doing the old Armstrong power steering to get it into the parking lot. And that damn, and this is really the third one of those. It was the third one of those tanks that I had purchased. Well, I think what happened was the coach got so hot, it just blew so much pressure into that tank. And I already knew it was leaking because I had noted in a video that I'd recorded 2-3 weeks before up in Utah when I was doing my normal pre-flight check that tank was leaking. So anyway, I ended up having to drive up to Flagstaff and get the tank from the Freightliner dealer in Flagstaff. No big deal. And I was backing on the road, and it was under $600, and I was really surprised. And the mechanics, he was a retired mechanic. He had worked for Rush Truck. Rush is a big nationwide conglomerate of dealer truck repair dealerships all over the the U.S. But he had worked for them, and so he knew his stuff. And it turned out okay, and I was back on the road the next day. But so pack your patience. The only thing good about that was at least I wasn't sitting. Excuse me, the tickle's back. I wasn't sitting alongside the road with all of the traffic whizzing by me. So, and a side note, if you have Good Sam, and I'm sure the other ones are like this, and I can only tell you about Good Sam because that's the one I have. It covers all your vehicles and all the drivers. So if you're paying for roadside assistance on your insurance, you can cancel that and probably save yourself 8, 10, 12 bucks every 6 months. It just depends on your insurance company. But they really like to sneak that in. I'm with Geico, and every time I renew the policy, I have to go back in and take the damn roadside assistance off because I don't need it. Because you would be double dipping basically. And it's worked out pretty good. So the difference is that roadside assistance is going to cover breakdowns. They'll get a technician to your breakdown location, and that's going to be it. You're going to pay for everything after that. An extended warranty on the coach is going to cover the gear in the coach, the fridge, the stove, the air conditioning units, all of those high dollar things that you don't want to break down. And then some of those may have an extended warranty on the chassis. Okay? You got to know for sure. And what the extended warranty on the chassis does is it covers your chassis. It covers the transmission, the engine, all of the drivetrain parts, and those sorts of things. But they're usually mutually exclusive. You either get an extended warranty on the coach or you get an extended warranty on the chassis. And then sometimes you can get it on both in the same plan. So it's really confusing. I think it's built that way so they can kind of sell you stuff that maybe you don't need or maybe you don't know what you're getting. But anyway, that's basically the crux of roadside assistance, extended warranties, those sorts of things. Again, I've been happy with Good Sam. I'm not recommending them. You go do your own research. Like I said at the beginning of this discussion, it's like Fords and Chevys, Freightliners and Spartans. Everybody has their preference, and I think they all are pretty much about the same as far as that goes. I'm going to flip back over to the comments here. It looks like John made it back. Hi, John. And Richard is back in. Great. KX Racer, I will answer your question in a moment. Vincent RV Life's back. Let's see here. Scott. Okay, Scott. I'm live and can leave comments. Yeah, it's a brave new world. Drone man checking Inca. Round Town Scouter made it back. Aaron's in, bumping around there. Tim Myers is in. Oh, yeah, Tim has seen the video. He's shedding a tear with me. Oh, yeah, and Aaron's from Cedar Rapids. That's how he ran into me. Judy says she has Allstate, and it will buy you 1 tire a year. Okay, great. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Good Sam does have tire coverage now, and I have found that to be fairly inexpensive. I've bought it, but I haven't used it. I've let it lapse now. But yeah, the tire coverage, I think, here's the deal with roadside assistance. A good Sam costs, I think it was $129 a year or something like that. One tow could cost you $1,000. So one roadside assistance event can usually pay for the roadside assistance. So it's definitely cheap insurance and definitely worth having. Tom Downey's back in. He says that Freightliner was a problem. Yeah, it's just that cotton picking tank, and I talked to a fellow that has the same year coach I do with the same Freightliner chassis, and he was a welder, and he went so far as to weld himself a tank. I said, well, how do you know how much what the water level in it is? And he says, well, I just guess. That's a little bit more than I want to do, but anyway, but yeah, that tank is a pain for sure. Fortunately, they're only about $100, but still, it's just the thought of it, huh? Chris Hauser's in from Middle Tennessee. Hi, Chris. Super nice to have you in here tonight. Any other questions or comments you want to ask? I know that the stream was busted up tonight from my trying to show you something cool, and it turned into a crash. Okay. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. I'll just wait one more minute, let folks get caught up, because I know there's a little bit of delay on the between when I'm chatting and what you're seeing on the live stream. It varies between about 6 and 13, 14 seconds. Um, there's a couple of factors in there, but overall, don't see anything else in there. Okay. Well, folks, I think we'll call this one good for tonight. Yeah, I know it's a little bit short, but I'll not try to do anything goofy next week, and we'll keep it together so that it's all in one stream. You're welcome, Maddie. Thanks for coming in and watching. I appreciate you being here tonight. Lola, hi Lola. It's been a while. Oh yeah, that's okay, Lola. Well, I missed the first 20 minutes is going to be its own separate live stream because I was goofing off and crashed my live stream. Good night, John. Thank you for being here. Have a great night yourself. Okay, a KX Racer asked a question. What are the differences between propane regulator pigtail hoses that are different colors? Some are green knobs and some are red. Well, usually when like Oxy's Sutherland setup uses green and red hoses and green and red knobs sometimes. I've never seen that in propane. To me, on propane, there should be no difference. We chatted about this a little bit. I think it might have been last week. But propane regulators are set to a factory standard, and they don't vary. Okay, they're set to deliver a certain amount of gas, measured in water column, which is somewhat related to pressure, but it's also somewhat related to how much gas, the concentration, the actual physical amount of gas that's in the line or going to the appliance. But the propane regulator is set to a standard setting because that's what the manufacturers expect of the gas appliance. And they have to have that because then they can adjust their gas appliance to work properly to be safe. Okay, so with that being said, I just saw that food porn. Yeah, low flow, high flow. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Of course, but I guess I'm spoiled because, my RV is the Class A was hard lined all the way over to the T's and stuff to where you hooked the appliances. So it was actual, black pipe. So yeah, that's new for me. Green for RVs, black for barbecue pits. Interesting. He's specifically talking about the pigtail hose only portion. You mean just the hose itself, KX? I'm thinking that it's probably just the manufacturer's preference. Whether they use a green or a black hose or a red hose. But I'll look into that. That's something I'd never heard about that in an RV. Whether it would be low flow or high flow, it sort of makes sense. A KX Racer says it's where it screws into the tank itself. Okay, all you gray hairs out there have been doing this a while. I know that we got Food Porn Shaft mentions that it's a slow flow and high flow. The RV needs high flow. Yeah, I don't know because I've always thought and I guess believed that the propane regulator on an RV is set to a specific level. In fact, it has to be by law. Because again, the propane, the appliance manufacturers are going to adjust their appliance to work with a certain amount of gas. Now, yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Acme nut. Okay, yeah, that I got you now. You're talking about the actual connection to the tank itself. Um, and again, I'm going to research that KX because I don't know. I'm going to find out. Um, every propane tank I've ever had, it's always had a black nut on the actual regular, where the regulator connects to the tank. Black. I just seem to remember always having black. I've never seen a red or a green in an RV or in a propane tank type situation, but I don't know at all. I'm going to find out about that for sure. Food Poor Chef, I think you're a little high. 200,000 psi is a lot. You can't. I don't know of any hose. Okay, yeah, I'm not PSI BTU. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense, Tim. And yeah, Tim, thanks. KX Racer, if you want, and you could send me a picture of what you got there. Send it to trbolin@gmail.com, and we'll see what we can figure out. I'm going to research that. Oh, Greg Graybird's in. Hi, guy. It's nice to see you. Tom Downey, oxyacetylene red is left, heads green right. Yeah, okay, gotcha. That's what I was thinking too. The acetylene's red and the oxygen's green, at least in oxyacetylene. Let me scan back here and see if I missed anything. Lola, I still can't get those lights off. They are hard plastic, no squishing the plastic together to slide off. Okay. Lola, can you take a picture and send to me? Take a picture of the lights and send it to me. And I'll see what I can do to help you out. Hi, Eric. Glad to see you're back. Tim says his propane's all black iron too. I think in Class A's it typically is. And in fact, I think that a lot of them do that. Excuse me. I think they do that because the hoses can tend to fail. And you can hard mount the pipe. And so it will be a hose from the regulator down to something, usually like on a travel trailer. There'll be a pipe down at the bottom, right in the middle of the A-frame where the hitch is. And then that pipe will take it hard piped back to the appliance. And then typically there'll be a copper supply line that comes up. I know that's the way mine's plumbed. So let's see. Greg Raybird says it's late here, got distracted. 39 and no carber. Okay. Oh, wife's birthday. Happy 80th, Marcia. Yeah, send me those pictures, Lola. Let's see here. Tim Myers. Okay. The light green connectors are rated for 200,000 BTUs per hour. The black are rated for 70 to 100. The dark green are rated to 450 to 500,000 BTUs an hour. The light green connect. Okay, so that's a repeat. So I can't imagine that. I mean, an RV that uses more than 70,000 BTUs of gas. Man, that's a big RV. I mean, let's take your typical RV furnace is going to be somewhere around 23, maybe 15 to 30,000 BTUs. Your gas stove with all three burners running might be another 12 or 15,000 BTUs. And then let's say your water heater, which is probably going to be in the 12 to 15,000 BTU range. So yeah, you're getting up around 70,000, somewhere around 60 to 70 there. I suppose a bigger RV that might have a bigger furnace, maybe some of the Oasis systems, that kind of stuff. Okay, he sent the email, so we'll sit here and let me go and get my email started because I didn't restart anything after the big crash. And we'll see if your email came in, and that way we can take a quick look at it there, KX. Sounds like it's probably here. Let's see. Had a few questions come in. All right, we're still waiting for the electrons, so we'll hang here for a minute. We got time. It's not quite 8 o'clock yet. Let's see. Thanks, Tim. The red connector is the strongest spring and is often used for high pressure adapters and T-fittings. Okay, great. Thanks, Tim. That's all an education to me. I'm going to look into that because, yeah, I that's a lot of BTUs in an RV. I mean, 100,000 I could see. But that's a lot of gas. That's a lot of BTUs. I mean, that's bigger than a house furnace when you sit down and do the math on it. Some of them. So, let me pump this real quick here. I'll bump the email, say send receive again. Let's see if your email shows up. Sometimes you think the electrons travel at the speed of light, and they do, sort of. Alrighty, Food Porn Chef. My ice box, my stove, my furnace, my water heater, and for my travel trailer is rated for 200,000 BTUs. And if I put a lesser flow, it will cut off ladder down, mess with water columns when running stuff. Okay. Okay, good. So we got KX Racers stuff here. Okay, let's see here. Let me pop this over here. All right, hopefully everybody's seeing that. So, yeah, it looks to me like high flow, okay, and then red, not marked, and the black, looks like we got two options there. That looks like a quick connect there. So, interesting. Well, I think Tim probably got that hit right on the head. See you, Tom. Good night. Thanks for coming in, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, Lola's going to send photos. Alrighty. Okay. So anyway, any other questions or comments, throw them over in the chat window. Also, drop a comment over there. Let me know where you're watching from. That's always nice. If you haven't done so already, give me that thumbs up. Those are always greatly appreciated. They help get the video ranked up. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Ring the notification bell. Lots of videos still to come. Working on my truck camper renovation. Of course, we do this every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain time, what I was trying to say. I'm also trying to read comments and talk. Okay. Visit my website, trbolin.com. You can support the channel by visiting my Amazon store. There's a link in the description below. I remind you to go over, if you're not subscribed to Aaron's channel, go over. He just did a really kind of neat video on how to silence your RV's AC. I only got to watch part of it, and then I got drug away to do something else, so I got to get back to see it. But Aaron does stuff, RV stuff too, and he would appreciate you coming over and joining him on his channel as well. Okay, so let's see. Gray Graybird wants to see a picture of how the S&S overhead bed ties into the sides. I can get that to you. I can't get to it right now. I don't think. I'll run over here real quick and see if I've got a picture handy that shows us that. Gray. All right, well, this might help. I actually found this. Okay, be back to you guys in a second. Getting over here to Gray, asking me a question about the S&S, the camper. So Gray, I found this at a place called archive.org, and they have something called the Wayback Machine. And I was able to go back in time onto SNS's website, clear back into the 2000s, and I was able to find this sort of an exploded view, if you will, kind of a cross-sectional view. But you can see here, and I can confirm this, I don't think I have a picture of this anywhere. Well, I might have a picture. It's probably more likely I have a video. And what I will do is I will bring that video up and get a screen capture, and I can share that with you next week. But you can see here, and this is the way it is. This is a 1x4 here that ties into this. This is one sheet of plywood here. That's the thickness. This is not a 2 thickness wall. So all this is the plywood here. Then you've got this here that is the structure that supports this here, underneath this here. If you can see the mouse moving here, I think you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. And then this extends back, so that's the cantilever right there. And it cantilevers from right there. So, okay, so here's the edge of the truck camper with the back side of it. And then here's this, and this is the cantilever. Okay, and then here's the rest of that construction. And this is pretty accurate, Gray. I know that I've been working on my model. I've been modeling in CAD application, the truck camper, for a couple reasons. In fact, next week's next week's truck camper video is going to be how I did that. There will not be a video this week, by the way, but next week's truck camper video will be how I put this all together, and I'll show you the tips and tricks and kind of the reasons I'm doing it. Mostly it's for estimating. I saw that KX Racer asked if I found the aluminum replacement for my truck camper. I did on eBay. It's hella expensive. So what I've done is that I found a company in Portland, Intermountain RV Metal, RV and Marine Metal, RV Metal or something like that. And I've sent out, they can do custom patterns. And so I sent off a request for a quote. I sent this off like Thursday last week, Thursday or Friday, to see if they can do that pattern. It seems like a pretty simple pattern. And so I'm kind of got my fingers crossed. Otherwise, I would have to reskin the whole thing. And I've been looking at that pretty extensively, and that's going to be kind of expensive. So I might end up buying a piece that I can stitch in. I'm not going to... Here's the rub. It always works this way. The piece I need to make it right without a seam needs to be 15 feet, 6 inches long. So I think I'm going to end up having to seam it because the stuff on eBay is 6 feet long, I believe, but it's expensive. The nice thing about going to this Intermountain Metal over there in Portland is they'll cut it the length you want. And so I think that's going to be, that's going to be optimal. And I'm close enough to Portland that it wouldn't bother me a bit to jump in the pickup and go pick it up. If I could drive over there and get it for less than I can have it freight shipped in. So a long answer to a short question. Good night, Tim. Have a good one. Hi, Walter. Great to have you in here from southern Georgia, South Georgia. Lola sent the pics. I will let you know, Lola. Tell us about Starlink for RV. Okay. I don't have any first-hand experience with it. I'm going to recommend you to the Mobile Internet Resource Center. Those guys know their connectivity inside and out. That's all they do. Mobile Internet Resource Center, Google or YouTube, search them. Chris and Cherie, they've been doing this a long time, and they know their poop. So I'm going to have to refer you over there. Also, my buddy Mark at Grand Adventure TV, you can YouTube search for him. He just got the Starlink, and he just did a video on his Starlink. And so I might recommend you to go over to his channel. Just last week, just last Wednesday, he premiered a video on the Starlink. Um, the thing of it is that, I mean, I've looked at Starlink a little bit, but my connectivity with the cell booster and that stuff has been good enough that I haven't had to, monkey around with connectivity, even in the most remote of areas. I remember I was at the Wind Whistle Campground, which is in the Needles district at Canyonlands, about 35 miles south of Moab, way out there in the middle of the Arizona high desert. And the campground host, saw me putting up my directional, and he says, "What are you doing?" I says, "Oh, I'm getting my stuff tuned up for cell." He says, "Oh, you'll never get cell out here." And within 20 minutes, I had it all tuned up, and I was getting enough bandwidth that I could stream Netflix and YouTube and that kind of stuff. So the cell booster with the directional antenna did everything I needed it to do. So I never really looked at the Starlink. Now, if something changed, then I would definitely consider the Starlink. I think they've got it working mobile now. Before, it was a fixed position type thing. You couldn't move because of the way their network was built out and set up. But yeah, Chris and Cherie, I think, is going to be your best resource as far as mobile connectivity. The Mobile Internet Resource Center. Go over and check them out. They're smart guys, and that's what they do. Tim Meyer says 200,000 BTUs an hour is 10 pounds of propane. Yeah, that's a ton. Oh, Food Porch Chef said Holtville, California at the hot springs. Excellent. Lola, okay, I'll go look for your pictures here in a minute. Tom Downey, yeah, I got you. Oh, Graybird says, and the ply bed base on the 4-inch slats, is it in-screwed into that ply side? Seems weak. I'll have to verify that. Actually, what there is there's a little, no, I'll verify that. I do have pictures of that. I'll have to dig it up for you. And if you're here next week, I will share that information with you next week, Dre. Alan. Okay. What time is it? 8:11. Okay, we'll go for a few more minutes. Two Feathers asks, have I thought about a junkyard for the tin? Yes. The problem is that's the pattern. I think the pattern is pretty specific to RVs. And it's in a week and a half you'll get to see the video where I go through the whole process of looking at either doing Phylon, which is the fiberglass. I'm looking at, like T111 or maybe even cedar siding. I've looked at a number of options and what the costs were and how I used the CAD application to be able to lay out, how much material I needed and that kind of stuff. And so, and that'll be a week from Sunday. This Sunday there will be no video. I will be gone the rest of this week and most of the weekend. So I didn't have time this week to get a video put together, and I really haven't had a lot of opportunity to work on it because it's been so cotton picked and cold. Okay, Gary D asks, do stock tank sensors fail sooner than aftermarket sensors? I don't know. I think maybe what you probably ought to... Are you asking because you have tank sensors that have failed, Gary? I know that they will eventually fail, and it depends on the type. The type of with the probe that go through the tank, there's not a lot to fail on those, okay? Mostly the problem is going to be that they'll quit working because they get crudted up with junk from your tanks. And if that's the case, um, then you just need to clean your tanks. And I have a great video on that over on my channel. It's how to eliminate black tank odors from your RV. And it's really super easy. Yes, he's asking because his tank sensors quit working. Okay, Gary. I recommend that you go watch the video over on my channel called, I guess it's how to eliminate black tank odors. I don't know. I published it 2 years ago, and you would think I could remember it, but you know, when you got close to 300 videos now, how to easily get rid of black tank smells in your RV. And it's on my channel. It's had 833,000 views. And I have not had one comment of the 3,000 or more that are on that video that said I was full of it. Every one of them has been worked amazing for me, those sorts of things. Yeah, go check that video out. There's also a cheat sheet on my website, Gary, trbolin.com. You can pick up, and that will, it's kind of a 2-page pamphlet. Chris Hauser, it works. You'll find a lot of folks in here who probably found me through that video, and they'll all say it works. It's simple. It uses borax, Dawn dish soap, and a little bit of patience, and it works. It works like a charm. So yeah, check that out, Gary. I suspect that they're just crudded up, and if you clean your tanks really well, they'll probably start working again. If not, I don't know that there's any real difference between the aftermarket sensors and the ones that come OEM from the manufacturer. I will say this, that on my Dutch Star, I replaced the tank sensors, but the ones I had were capacitive, and the ones I have now are capacitive. And so really all that means, it's a fancy way to say it measures the level of the water through the wall of the tank by how much the capacitance changes. Okay, I won't get into all of the technical details, but the old tank monitors were the capacitance type, but they were this tin foil mishmash of, and they quit working. And so I replaced mine with the C Level 2, and they have worked perfectly ever since. And it's been a good system. Expensive, probably 240, 250, something like that. But yeah, they worked amazingly well. Yeah, Gray had mentioned this to me in an email that he sent me a while back, that he has marine composting the airhead toilet, and he's had it for 3 years with no complaints, no black tank worries, no dumping. Yep. Yeah, that's, I considered composting toilet for my RV. I never got around to it. What I thought would be nice about having a composting toilet is then you'd have like 100 gallons of gray water storage, and I always would fill my gray water tanks when I was boondocking before I would fill my black tank. Scott Mogich, okay, yeah, that's how he found me too. Yep, okay. Gary says he's got a Heartland 2018. Yeah, 2018. I suspect your tank sensors are just garbaged up. It happens. It happens to everybody. Go watch that video. Follow my recommendations there. If you're still having trouble, come back and I can probably make some more recommendations for Gary. So yeah. All right, it's 8:15. Wow, we got 25 people still watching. That's amazing. I don't want to sit here and just drone on if there's not any questions. So if you have questions, please throw them over into the chat window. I'll scan back here. Cubby Butler says it's cold, minus 35 in northern Wisconsin. Cubby, do you remember the line? It was a power line, a high tension power line that they ran from Duluth to Stevens Point. I spent a lot of time up in that country because the company I used to work for, we were the engineers. Thanks, KX Racer. Nice to see you here tonight. They had to build that line up there in winter because there was a lot of spots they were building across that they couldn't get into unless it was frozen. So I know that northern Wisconsin, Hayward, a little resort town there in, I guess, kind of north central Wisconsin. We had an office in Hayward, and I was at Hayward a lot. In fact, I got ran out of the casino at Hayward because they accused me of card counting. I wasn't. This is way not RVing, but what the heck. I wasn't card counting, but yeah, I was up there for work, and we had a free night, so we went out to the casino there, out to the east side of town. And yeah, I got ran out of the casino because they accused me of card counting. John Nichols is looking for hand sewing all with waxed leather thread. You can get one of those on Amazon. If you slip through my Amazon store, there's a link in the description below. Yeah, you can pick one of those up. They're fairly inexpensive. If you're looking for an instructional video, I don't personally have one. I do have an awl and some thread that was my grandpa's, and for whatever reason it ended up in my toolbox, and I've used it a couple times. Cool. Okay, so yeah, John, if that's what you're looking for, I don't have a video on how to use one, but I'm sure YouTube University has tons. Tom Downey says, never put grease in holding tanks. Yeah, you try to eliminate that as much as possible, for sure, because the grease in your gray tank can be a real pain. But if you do the road scrub, like I described in the video, that road scrub will clean out any tank. Oh, Cubby says... Chubby. Cubby says, need to repair delamination on motorhome. Minocqua, Wisconsin, 100 miles east of Hayward. Okay. I don't have a delamination video, but if you do a YouTube search on AZ Expert, Alpha Zulu Expert, I think it's actually short for Arizona, AZ Expert. He's a real RV repair guy. That's what he does for a living. And I just watched a really cool video where they fixed the delamination of a whole panel on this Winnebago motorhome, and it didn't look that difficult. And I think the most difficult part, at least from what I saw when I was watching it, was probably the glue you have to use. It's pretty expensive. But yeah, AZ Expert, and he did it's a delamination. He's got several delamination videos. There's one on a Class C that he did, and then there's another one on a Class A. And so you might check his channel out for a good video on delaminations. Greg Graber says he has a hand sewing awl but prefers sail needle and with sailor palm for heavy work. And two feathers. I've never heard of waxed leather thread. I know about sinew. And then Roundtown Scouter says Harbor Freight carries sewing awls. Yes, they do. The waxed thread makes it easier when you're working with like leather and stuff like that. It just helps us slide through the leather. You don't really need waxed thread when you're doing cloth. But yeah, if you're doing leather, vinyls, those sorts of things, the waxed thread is like having waxed dental floss, the difference between unwaxed and waxed. That slides easier, and it works easier. So that would be why you would want to use the waxed thread in an owl. Awl. A-W-L, owl. Okay. Anything else? All right, well, things are back and running off, so here I think it's I've droned on long enough. You know, it's really great to have everybody here tonight. So happy that you all came back after the first crash. I won't goof around next week. Um, but yeah. Oh, by the way, if you can't find the waxed thread that you're looking for, you could just get a candle or some paraffin wax, but a candle will work just fine. And just take the candle, not heated, but just cold, and just hold that thread out there and just rub that candle on it, and that'll wax it. And then, pull it through your fingers to get a lot of the excess wax off. Or maybe a good soft microfiber towel to wipe the majority of the wax off. But you'll be able to get that waxed yourself if you can't find it. Thanks, Cubby. Thanks, Round Town. Eric, thank you so much. Two Feathers, great to have you here. Gray, I will get you some pictures or a video of that bed mounting, and I'll have that here next week. Okay, we're going to call it good. Thanks so much, everybody. I surely appreciate it. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, peace. Good night.